Hello, one and all, and welcome back to the Great Unknown Audio Show with me, your illustrious host and most notorious face for radio, Maxim Jennings. And I'll tell you why that fact is just so true in so many ways. Well, before we get started in this episode, let me take you back to last weekend where Nick and I decided to do a back-to-back double bender around Melbourne. And I'll take you to the Saturday in particular, where we'd had a few drinks at the happy hour at our local hostel that we've mentioned on a number of occasions before this. And then following that, we decided we were going to take a little detour and not go to our usual places and go to a street called Chapel Street, which was quintessentially a strip of bars and takeaway shops available throughout the night. And then whilst we were at one of the second place we went to, Nick was getting a bit tired, wanting to go home. And I was like, oh, come on, stay for one more. It's not too bad. And then a lady approaches me. And she goes, hello, I don't suppose you fancy introducing yourself to my friend over there? You know, just wasn't really in the mood, like every other lady killer in the world. So I was like, no, I think I'm okay, thanks. And then she goes around and there's me and Nick, and then there's two other boys who we're not really talking to, but they're kind of outside as well. She asks all of our ages, almost as if she's trying to get anyone to get with her mate. So, which is why she came to me first, obviously, because being a face for radio, you're not really quite the looker. Anyway, she comes to me and she asks how old I am, and I go, well, I'm 23. And she goes and looks me up and down. And she goes, you're 23. You look terrible. And I was just so taken aback by this comment that I had no firepower, nothing to really give her back. And I was just taken aback by this comment. And she was English as well. She lived in Australia for 7 years, so maybe that's where she's gotten that rude tone and the need for unnecessary insults ingrained in her now. But I just was so taken aback, and really I guess that sums up why I am the most notorious face for radio. Everyone else was kind of looking around like, did she really just say that? I hadn't said anything wrong. I mean, if I deserved it, I'd gone, yeah, fair enough. I mean, she's not wrong. I do look a bit rough. I think it might have been the long moustache that I'm rocking at the moment, being as that we are in Australia and home of a glorious moustache. Or maybe it was just the fact that she thought I didn't want to get with her friend. So multiple motives there, but the most notorious face for radio strikes again. Anyway, let me take you to why am I recording this episode, and why have you not heard the immaculate dulcet tones of Nikolai Brown yet? Well, I am doing a little solo trip, like I mentioned in the last episode, down South Australia's notorious Great Ocean Road, a 5-day extravaganza in my own Mazda X5 that I rented from East Cars, Melbourne this morning. All went relatively smoothly. It's an automatic, so there's not as much that can go wrong in a manual, but I almost seemed to stall it when I accidentally pressed the little trigger thing on the gear stick and moved from drive to neutral whilst pulling out of the car park, which was amazing timing, as always. But other than that, it's been a pretty plain sailing so far. I've just got some lovely features, that car. She kindly took out the SD card for the navigation, which I had to pay an extra $20 for. Absolutely ludicrous, so no chance I was paying for that. I've got everything on Google Maps. But it's a lovely drive. Got one of those speed lock thingies where you can, lock the speed, and you don't even need to press the accelerator to go up and down, which is a lovely feature when you're cruising down the highway. But no, it's very nice, lots of sensors. It's very unlikely I could crash, but there's still always a possibility. So, like all drivers out there, stay vigilant. So what's the plan for day one? You find me, I find myself, as I'm trying to do throughout the whole of this travels, on a beach called Ermktar Bluff. So you knew I had to stop here, because what a name that is to get ourselves started on this Ocean Road extravaganza. I'm close to a very famous lighthouse called Aries Intel, which will be my next stop. Seems a bit of a tourist trap, so I thought, why not try and walk along the seafront, walk along the bay. before we go to a historical landmark and just see what the surf is saying. And to my very uninformed eyes, I would say there is not much surf out here today in Great Ocean Road. There are a few surfers out here, but they look like they're almost giving up. And in true Jennings fashion, I think I've picked a week to go where it's meant to be raining every single day. So how fantastic is that, folks? Which should hopefully mean for some good cloud cover. And as Nick tells me, good cloud cover usually means the good sunsets if it's not absolutely chucking it down. So I'll keep you posted on what the skies are looking like throughout the day. And be your own personal Australian Met Office. So after Aries Intel, we go through one of the biggest towns on this Great Ocean Road, called Lorne, where I'll probably pick up some supplies before heading off to a series of mini waterfalls, the most notorious of them being called Erskine Falls, where we'll probably reconvene. But for now, make sure you always keep me in your prayers, as hopefully no one else tells me that I look terrible at the age of 23. Right, as you can tell by our lovely background ambulance, we are at Erskine Falls. In the meantime, where do we go? We went to Aries Inlet, that's what it was called. It wasn't Aries Intel, as I probably said earlier, although it does make more sense that a lighthouse provides intel rather than inlets, because I don't know what an inlet is. So that might be a deciding factor on that one. That was very nice lookout point right by the lighthouse, and the water running along the whole coastline is just such a gorgeous blue. You can look into it, see your reflection, and when it crashes against the rocks, such a big contrast between light and dark, and it's just so nice, so calming. After that, I then took a little detour down into Lorne, which is one of the biggest towns, where there is a lookout point called Teddy's Lookout. Absolutely magnificent there as well. Nice little beach, like a little lagoon style area, with a lot of tourists there, but it's worth a visit. It only takes about 15 minutes outside the town, but you see the same things as you do at the lighthouse. It's just, you've got a different angle on it. The lighthouse also had this nice little rock that was kind of perched outside of the cliff front, so that was really nice to see. It was like a nice bright orangey colour, so lovely contrast between the light blue and the orange on the rock there. And now Erskine Falls is like another 15 miles down from Aries Inlet. It's definitely worth a trip. There's a vantage point at the top of the waterfall, and then where I am now, which is at the bottom. It's just so serene. It's so nice. Before I came here, I did have to take a little pit stop though, because I am absolutely famished from not having any proper breakfast. I mean, I had a Granny Smith apple, the best apple in anyone's sane opinion is always a Granny Smith's apple, followed by a banana, which that banana needs to be, well, in my humble opinion, it needs to be with slight tints of green, but mainly yellow, and just that bit of firmness, just so when you bite into it, it rips away, and you can almost hear the rip come away from the banana. So that's always an important point to add as well. So that was breakfast, and then I've just had a little bit of lunch whilst I was lunch with a view, shall we say, at the bottom of the waterfall. I've got a big tub of hummus, reduced hummus, with some rosemary and thyme crackers. I mean, if that doesn't scream to you nutrition, I don't know what will, as the rain starts to come down again. Thank you so much, Pachamama, Mother Nature in Spanish for all you linguists out there. And now we're here, Erskine Falls, probably our last stop before I head down to my home for the night, which is oh, what a name! This road has come out with some fantastic names. And the next one is where I'm staying tonight, Sugarloaf. I mean, how amazing does that sound? It sounds as though I'm going to get a nice hot cross bun when I arrive, but I don't think that's going to be the case. It was very difficult to find accommodation because I did this quite late notice. In true Maxim Jennings fashion. So this was on the higher price range of my budget, coming in at about $70, but it is a private bed, a queen bed, not quite king size, only for the greats, but I think it will do nicely. It's called Seacroft View, the place, so I'm quite excited because from the photos I saw, it looked pretty good. There was only one room available really in the area. This is obviously a very popular area, and when you're driving through here, it's easy to see why, because it's just you've got the combination of the coastline, and then you come in about 500 meters, and all these long treetops are just everywhere, hiding something like this beautiful waterfall. I mean, it's difficult to find this place, but it's just absolutely magnificent. The contrast to the bright blue ocean and then all this greenery surrounding it, even though it's raining, it just feels that kind of, adds that pathetic fallacy to springtime, but it almost feels autumnal, because it is autumn, Maxim, you fucking daft idiot. We're on the other side of the world, I forget. Yeah, it does feel very autumnal here. Big shades of green on the trees, and it really is immaculate. And I have to say, immaculate just like the roads that I've been on so far. Absolutely fantastic. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, it's one of my just favourite things in life in general, is listening to music in the car. I don't think there are many things that get better than that, so I've been missing that a lot. I'd say it's a big thing about travelling that I've been missing. Sorry, Mum and Dad. I think I'm more inclined to say that I miss belting out an absolute classic in the car as opposed to seeing you and being your son 24/7. I'm only joking, but I would say one of the most satisfying things in the world, and it does have a connection to automotives again, is when you're turning in to a junction and you've got the steering wheel just in one hand, and you just absolutely scroll the wheel through your hand 3 times is enough just to get that sensation as you're turning into the right or turning into the left. The left, for all Brits out there, is even more skillful because you're going from in to out with your rotating motion with the hand on the wheel, and it just feels absolutely sensational. I would list it in my top 5 sensations of all time. So yes, like I was saying, and I hope this background noise has really added to this segment of episode 23. 23, you look terrible. It's quite fitting, really, isn't it? So this has been Erskine Falls. It's starting to get a little heavier, this rain, and I don't really want to mess the car up too much on the first day, although I did manage to get sandy footprints in the driver's seat, so that took me about 5 minutes to clean them off, which is always a good start. But no major dramas yet. I'm sure you will be informed when that does occur, but for now you'll probably hear from me when I am at my accommodation, lounging around in my queen bed. And here we are at Seacroft Estate. I'm sure I butchered it in the last clip, I can't remember what I said. But it's very lovely. It's my first ever self-service piece of hospitality. Actually, that is not completely true. You know when you go into an Airbnb and they just give you a PIN code? There was nothing like that though. There wasn't like a PIN, they just left the key in the door, which is a bit crazy. But there's got like some tree houses, some cabins, and it's like just off the coastal road. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm getting my money's worth for the view, at least if it wasn't grey and cloudy and dismal. But got the sunset in about half an hour, which I can't see from where I am, so it's not going to be much of a sunset, but it's always nice to make the effort for that time of day. My main port of action is to find somewhere to eat dinner, because they said there was no kitchen facilities on this site, and I tend to agree with them, so I'm going to have to find somewhere to eat. So that'll be the main port of call. I'll let you know how the food is in the morning, but that kind of wraps up day 1 of this little Great Ocean road trip. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to this one, and make sure to tune into the next one. Thanks very much.